We are previewing Week 6 in the NFL here at SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We're talking with Jeff Cadillac from jeffcadillac.com, and he has selected KC at Minnesota to discuss. Right now, Minnesota's a 3.5 or 4-point home favorite. Minnesota, of course, coming off the bye, and KC having all kinds of issues. The offensive line isn't working. Jamal Charles is out. Defense isn't that great. All signs are pointing to Minnesota here. I'm sure Jeff Cadillac is going to take Minnesota, and I have to say, I agree with him. I bet Minnesota already. I did bet buy down to 3 minus 140, which is probably a little bit of a cowardly move. I'm agreeing with you, Jeff Cadillac. I like Minnesota here.
Well, Peter, I haven't even said anything yet.
No, but
You're already agreeing with me.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny that you say that because remember last week I had the Kansas City Chicago game. Chicago was getting 9.5, and I loved Chicago all the way, even though I thought Kansas City might win that game, but definitely not cover the spread. So people who followed me, they saw that I picked Chicago plus 9.5. I love that game. You know, Kansas City was up 17-3 at the time, and Jamal Charles, bam, ACL out for the season. That's a big hit for Kansas City because he's part of their two-dimensional offense. Unfortunately, right now, they have no consistent backup for Jamal Charles. Kansas City now becomes a one-dimensional team. And with Alex Smith at the helm, I would say it's almost like a zero-dimensional team because the man, he's great at, your short passes. He doesn't look further down, down the field. The problem with him is they don't open up that offense. That offense is very predictable the way it is. I'm sure Jeremy Maclin is not too happy that he signed on with Andy Reid in Kansas City because he barely sees the ball. It's a very one-dimensional team right now. And going forward, it's not going to look good. Minnesota, coming off the bye, they just lost before the bye against Denver in Denver. They were very competitive. I liked that game. I thought Denver might cover the spread in that game, but Minnesota showed me a lot. They played with a lot of guts. I like Mike Zimmer this year. He's really got that team in the right direction. The only real loss that Minnesota's played this year is at San Francisco. Week 1, they lost that game in a blowout. They're really playing competitive right now. Kansas City, I mean, who have they beaten? They beat Houston week 1. Big deal, okay? Houston's secondary, terrible. You and I could probably throw the ball against that defense. They've had big losses at Chicago. They lost to Denver, Green Bay, Cincinnati. This team, Kansas City, is definitely going in the wrong direction. What I like about Minnesota is they have the number 2 rushing offense against Kansas City's supposed 13 rush defense. I like that kind of matchup right there. I think Adrian Peterson off the bye week is going to have a big week here. Minnesota at home has shown me a lot of things this year so far. They're really putting it together. Teddy Bridgewater is learning as a quarterback in his second year. He had the full training camp to work out his number 1, and he's really showing me a lot of things here. So, if I had to pick a team here, I would go with Minnesota laying the 3.5 at home against Kansas City going in the opposite direction.
What can I say? Jeff Cadillac from jeffcadillac.com. I agree with you. Like I said, I did already bet this one. I hope we're both right this week. Jeff Cadillac, tell us what jeffcadillac.com, your website, is all about.
All right, jeffcadillac.com. I analyze all the games for free every week during the NFL season. On Twitter, I also my best bet of the week on Fridays. Unfortunately, last week I had Buffalo laying 2.5. Tennessee kept it close. Buffalo only won by a point, but I felt I was on the right side of that game because Buffalo was off the bounce back. But again, on Twitter at Jeff Cadillac 1.
Okay, sounds good, Jeff. Thanks.